When investors ask you what your TAM is, how do you define it? It's very tricky. I've raised 8 rounds of capital from angels and VCs, and I've defined TAMs numerous times, sometimes very incorrectly. TAM, or total addressable market, is a very tricky question because depending on how you define it, the investors could say that it's either way too broad or way too narrow. Now, technically, in the startup world, there are 3 terms: total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, and serviceable obtainable market. Now, these terms are used to determine what is the total market and what can you possibly get out of it. Regardless, if you define your TAM too broadly, investors are going to say that that's too large of a scope to tackle to begin with. And if you define it too narrowly, they will say it's not attractive enough to play in it, and hence they won't be interested. So it may feel like a lose-lose situation. So then how do you do it? You do it by defining a large TAM for your overall vision that you hope to achieve in the span of like the next 5 years. And then you pick what is called a wedge market and say that I'm starting with this wedge. It's a wedge product and a wedge market that I'm going after that is much more attainable in the first 12 months of my journey. The wedge is critical to define because that tells the investors that you have thought about this and you have taken up a scope that is possible to handle in the first year. It's also important that your wedge logically connect to the overall TAM that you've defined for your long-term vision. Let me make it clear with an example. For example, in our case, where I'm building Final Layer, we have defined our overall vision as the destination for AI agents for all creative workflows, whether you're writing a LinkedIn post or tweeting or writing a blog post or creating a video. Now, we are starting with just the LinkedIn piece. We've launched our LinkedIn super agent. We're focused on the LinkedIn market. So our wedge is the LinkedIn market, and our overall market is the entire creative market. Then we talked about why we picked LinkedIn as our wedge, because content is exploding on LinkedIn. LinkedIn 2025 feels like the era of YouTube 2010, where they're adding emphasis on video, and lots of content, both written form as well as video, is growing a lot. So define your wedge carefully, make sure that your wedge can get you to a few $1,000,000 of early revenue, and then define a path to your long-term vision that logically connects the wedge to the broader TAM.